Exodus is the next and up-and-coming sci-fi RPG, and every single one of their updates continues to show me that this game is going to be big. Developed by Archetype Entertainment, Exodus has some amazing devs behind the project, and Drew Karpyshyn is the lead writer. Alongside him are sci-fi legends Peter F. Hamilton and Adrian Tchaikovsky. So not only on top of a deep, well-written, and immersive world, there will be a customizable voice protagonist, several companions with romances, and heavy choice and consequence, reliant on the game's core mechanic, time dilation. Archetype Entertainment just recently released this new Prologue story that includes a cinematic trailer and a short story to accompany it. And this cinematic is absolutely stunning. The music is also soft and ominous, and we're getting to see one of Earth's arcs in its full glory. The design of this arc also matches the image on the timeline up on the Exodus website. Same design, but just different colors. And the story of Exodus tells us that humanity essentially destroyed Earth and were forced to flee. Taking the planet for granted, it became inhospitable, and those who were able to fled on what were known as the arcs. This is one of those arcs, and this prologue story tells about life on the Hammer Cross. And before I go over the Green World story, I want to point out that there are a few pieces of this trailer that seem visually similar to the gameplay we have been shown for Exodus. I'm also pretty confident that the ship we see in the new Prologue cinematic is the same ship we see in the gameplay. I know people have a problem with cinematics, especially these days, but from the pre-alpha gameplay footage we have been shown of Exodus, the visuals are absolutely there. The graphics, the landscapes, the combat, the actual gameplay, it looks very good. And this isn't even the finished product. So, now let's go over the actual Green World story. We see the Hammercross venturing out into the universe, trying to find habitable planets, and there are 4 different planets shown here. The first 3 are inhabitable, and we even get to see one that has this rock-like creature that's coming out of the mountain. It eventually brings them to this final world, Emerald, and they thought this world was habitable. This is what they were told. Emerald, this lush green planet, has been chosen for terraforming. At this time, contact with the Arcs has gone cold, so the Hammercross sets up a station here at the order of the Colonel. Being told the planet was not toxic, the crew removes their helmet, realizing they have been lied to. And the Green World's written short story goes more into this. The Hammercross is falling apart. Comms are dying. Its halls have turned into slums, and the ship remains half unrepaired. Parts have been salvaged and holes have been covered with cloth awnings, with families living behind them in cramped spaces. The vital system on the ship has experienced rolling blackouts, and it's only getting worse. The people on the Hammercross were suffering. There was not enough space and resources. So, the Colonel was sending people to the planet below. One crew member, Evan, tried bringing his complaint to the Colonel, as he could not continue to maintain his own task of maintaining the long-range comms, which had run out of power. It's been weeks since he's been able to scan for a signal, and at this point, they had lost contact with the other Arcs. His mentor, Hargrean, had also been taken away, leaving Evan, an apprentice, to fend for himself. Hearing about Evan's complaints, Captain Fusca brings Evan into her office, where she tells him long-range comms will officially be discontinued because they do not have the power. She then tells him he too will be sent on World, now that he no longer has a job. So, to Emerald, Evan was sent. Emerald was the greenest of the green worlds, a world full of life. It was carbon-based, and had similar photosynthetic pathways as Earth. The world was covered in shallow seas and ankle-deep water, and a coating of algae across the entire planet. It was the first habitable world they had found, after the several dead rocks they had previously discovered. The planet looked perfect, but of course it was not. The workers had to wear respirators and they all looked sick. That green algae that covered the planet had a variety of cyanide, and they were being poisoned. None of the farms were finding anything usable. They were simply dying, and all the people that had died were people the Colonel wanted dead. This is where Evan was going. When arriving, Evan saw all of the sickly people that had been sent here. Dying workers slept on pallet beds in their last hours before seizures or heart attacks took them. And amongst them, his mentor, Hargrean. Hargrean reveals that he was sent down there because there was a signal from another ark, from light years away. It was the Green World Signal, living worlds, a new home for humanity, and everyone was welcome. When Hargrean took it to the Colonel rejected it. He was in charge. He had order, and he wasn't going to give it up. Long-range comms were intentionally cut, so the signal never reached them again. Their colonel had doomed them to die, and now Evan knew the truth. Hargrean, his mentor, asked Evan, "So what are you going to do? You going to keep taking his crumbs and his orders? Or have you got the spine to mutiny, so that someone out of this sorry mess has a forward to look to?" And that's the end of the short story. This brings me back to the cinematic. This is very clearly others finding out the planet is poisonous. This isn't Evan, but someone else who met the unfortunate fate, thanks to the cyanide within Emerald's atmosphere. We see him and his partner suffering from the toxicity after removing their mask. They were sent there to die on purpose, or they were the first to find out the truth about Emerald. I do wonder if we'll ever see Evan again, or if this is another isolated story within Exodus to set up the world. And the world is bleak. It's dark and it's full of these kinds of stories from what we've seen so far. I have no doubt Exodus will be leaning into darker storytelling and themes and moral complexity, as we've seen a lot of this in the expanded content they've already released. At this point though, I just don't know how much it will be all connected to the world we experience in Exodus itself. So far, it feels like the game's timeline will take place in the rise of the Aslan dynasty, almost 40,000 years after Earth's exodus began. And with so many prologue stories telling the history of events around the initial exodus, majority of these individuals would not be around, unless they were in cryo. If Evan's story ever turns into more, I don't know, and even if it doesn't, that's totally fine. The Green World story tells of another ark barely surviving, as it seems a lot of them began falling apart, losing resources, and in turn, losing its ark inhabitants. Something interesting though is, are these cinematics just teaser trailers? Or are they things we may see in-game? Or things that connect to larger marketing? I'm so intrigued by this game's overall approach to getting word out about this game. I've commented on this before that I don't think I've seen another studio do this. We're getting beautiful, very well done cinematics that have clearly been invested into. And I'm just so surprised at how much quality content they've continued to push out. They could just put out a short story, but instead we're getting visuals, full cinematics with voice acting and music, and I'm just really shocked at how much effort is being put into these. I absolutely love them, and I wonder how many more we could actually get. As of right now, there are 5 prologue stories. The game revealed with 4 of them and has since added this newest one. And while they may just be marketing, I wonder if they're connected to the world's in-game human history museum. Maybe these also play in-game, and they were made to recap the events of the past to show what they would have looked like. That is probably a stretch, but these are just so well done, I'm having a hard time grasping that they're just for the website. And if you're interested in Exodus, I have covered everything that has been revealed, which has been a lot. Recently, they've revealed some artwork of Silicates and Daemons, which sounds like Exodus's own dark urge, similar to Baldur's Gate 3. They've revealed some very interesting information so far, and I'll link it at the end if you want to check that out. But be on the lookout for more Exodus content. And be on the lookout for the Archimedes engine, which comes out this September. It will be the first true introduction into the world of Exodus and will contain over 900 pages of world building. I cannot wait to devour that book. But be on the lookout for more Exodus content. I will make sure to cover anything and everything, as they reveal stuff slowly like they have been. And I'm beyond excited for this game. I think it could be massive. And I hope it is. I want to see a studio succeed. Let me know all your thoughts below. What do you think about this cinematic and this story? And what do you think about the tone of the world they're setting up for Exodus? Let me know all your thoughts, and thank you for watching.